Trigger warning. Sarah Everard is a woman walking on the road at night whose remains were then found and a police officer is in custody about it. My condolences go out to her family. Unfortunately, this is the reality for a lot of women who don't have the luxury us men do of blasting music down their earphones at night for fear of what might happen to them. And that's the part that sticks in it, is the fear. You don't get kidnapped, groped, approached, solicited for sexual favors every night, but the fear, that sticks with you, that doesn't go. It's the silent torture, that anxious feeling. To put it in roadman terms, imagine walking around in your enemy's territory, up block, with no weapon and no protection except for a woman. Enemy territory is earth. I see a few men talking about this on social media, but remember, don't treat this like it's an isolated incident, and because, men like to compare. If I'm in a room of 10 men and I ask them, how many of you as a baby mums that won't let you see your kids, or how many of you have been finessed by a woman, or how many of you have been accused of rape? Because these are the things that men bring up. I wonder how many of them would raise their hand. But if I'm in a room of 10 women and I say, how many of you have suffered physical or sexual abuse or assault of any kind at the hands of a man? It's a rare room where all 10 don't raise their hands if they're honest, if they're answering truthfully. We talk about this stuff like it's too light. Like, do you know what it is to rob someone of their autonomy, their basic right to do what they want with their body? That's being done to women even on days when no one has troubled them, because the fear controls their choices. It makes them precautious, and that precaution precludes them from acting as they would if predators didn't exist. I don't want Sarah's story to be amplified in a way that makes it seem like an isolated tragedy has happened. Women are assaulted and accosted and assailed every single solitary day. So we need to talk about it on off days. Unfortunately, cool is culture, so the more men talk about how whack it is to harass and bother women and how lame it is to consider yourself as having won any points for coercion rather than willing acceptance of a respectful advance, hopefully the more things will change. Until we start doing that, we haven't done enough, and we're not doing enough even once we're doing that, because there is a pandemic going on outside bigger than COVID, and it is the violence against women. We need to track and trace weirdos and vaccinate them with common sense and a lesson in human decency. And let me tell you something. Don't bother talking about this on social media or think you're really about this life if every single friend you have isn't expendable when it comes to this. Because you will lose friends trying to hold certain men accountable. If you can't stand face to face with your boy and say, yo, how you are moving is wild. If you aren't willing to tell someone straight because it might cost you financially or otherwise to lose that friend, you don't mean it. And you aren't really their friend. Because if you see me about to trip over my shoelace and you don't try to stop me, you're not my friend. Tell your friends they're moving wild if they're moving wild. Create a culture in your circle of accountability and self-reflection. And please, don't think you know your boy. You don't know anybody. You don't know your friend. You don't know your family. You don't know yourself. Check yourself. Every single one of us are guilty of making a woman uncomfortable in some way at some point, whether consciously or subconsciously to some degree. If you ain't willing to admit that, you're not about this life and you're not about protected women, because the first man that I have to protect women from is myself, and I'm still working on that. You've heard me say this all before. I've heard it suggested by men as well that I do this to get gal, which is only indicative of the fact that you believe the only purpose of doing anything for women is to procure sex from them. Well, find a girl. Find the girl I'm DMing right now, because please, ma'am, come forward. Because I'm telling you right now, the only thing required for being like this really is to open your eyes and see the world for what it really is, and then decide to have a heart. You can do it too. This isn't bashing. It's not bashing to tell my peers, yo, let us improve, let us do better. To see it as bashing only lets me know the fragility of your ego, which is the very foundation for why half of these atrocities occur anyway. We especially got to do more as black men to make sure our women don't always only hear us speak up when it's women of other ethnicities suffering. Also, I feel nothing from when I do these videos and women applaud me. I don't deserve applause for deciding I half care after 20 odd years of doing the bare minimum. I scan through the comments trying to find men that agree, men that understand and are willing to say so that other men can see and learn and grow. Rest in peace to Sarah Everard and everyone else that's faced what she's faced, and the countless women that have had to live with the scenarios they survived. Peace.